So you have then four options, all right? Four options. So if you choose to do this, it would be, let's see, let's look at the calendar. The calendar. So today is the 3rd. So it would be due, I'm going to give you enough time to, to think about and then plan. So let's see, February. Okay, so we are, how about on the 12th, February the 12th, okay? February the 12th, our class time. And whatever you do plan to share with the class, okay?
Is that an optional assignment, extra credit, or now it's required?
Extra credit.
Okay.
Optional, right?
Because I know you said there's a maximum.
Right.
So you already exceeded, you can't really do it.
How do you want it? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so that's that. So are there any questions?
Did you want us to do anything with the impression management one? Do you want us to post it somewhere?
Oh, no.
Read it. You said you wanted
This is
to
just
read it.
for,
Just for us?
we're not gonna publish it. I'll post it. Yeah.
So when we do this, do we inform these people
No.
what we're doing? So we don't even say it at all. It has to be completely autonomous. They don't know anything. It's just my little secret with them.
No, later on, for example, when you are, when people start in the elevator, after you have done your
Yeah, that's what I'm
observation,
thinking.
maybe people are gonna, so the elevator opens again, and you say, oh, I'm so sorry that when you do this, but it's my crazy teacher just, asked us to do this experiment,
I
so.
wouldn't say crazy teacher, but I was wondering when we're finished, do we,
That's up to you,
Got it.
right?
yeah.
So how many extra credit points is this one?
That will be up to 5 points.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, so for all four options, you said, are we gonna read them in class or just for the impression?
Just, no, you only do one, right?
Yeah, only one, but I'm saying,
Yeah,
do we
we
read them in
share
class?
in class, yeah,
Yeah.
very informally, nothing really formal, very informal.
And when are these due?
The 12th
The
of
12th.
February.
Alright.
Okay, 12th of February. Okay, also, this coming Tuesday, today's Tuesday, no, today is
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday. Today's Okay, Thursday then. Thursday, we're gonna have a quiz, okay? Quiz number 2. Chapters, no, it's coming Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah, it's coming Thursday. We're gonna finish chapter 4 today. So, Thursday, that will be the 5th, right? Quiz number 2, chapters 3 and 4. Cultural societies and socialization through the life cycle, okay? Now, it's gonna be an in-class quiz, just like the one before, minus the hypothesis and all, those little exercises, right? It's gonna be a mix of multiple choice questions. It's gonna be some short definitions, and there's gonna be one short essay, okay? Now, you can use your notes, not textbook, but notes, all right? So if you have good notes, obviously, you do better than if you don't have very good notes. So come prepared then, as soon as we get to class on Thursday, we will have the quiz, all right?
Can we have the notebook or just?
No, not textbook, just your
Yeah,
notes.
that's-
you know,
your
that's-
notes,
that's
your
your
in-class
notes.
And I have one with all
Your
of them.
notes.
Yeah.
Not a fake.
Yeah, okay, all right. Mhm.
But if you take notes on the PowerPoint,
Can you take notes in the, yeah, you can take notes in the PowerPoint. Yeah, the PowerPoint, the notes, you can, on the margins, you can write from there.
so if your notes are on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, no textbook, but you can use your notes or the PowerPoint with added notes, okay? All right. So let's just kind of recall what we did on last week. It seems like a long time ago. Okay, so we talked about socialization and the importance of being socialized, because through socialization we become social beings, right? And also we discussed the seriousness of being unsocialized, right? As illustrated by the case of this girl, Ginny, who, by the way, she still is alive. As of 2008, she, after going to several foster homes, she was institutionalized, and she has, actually, after the scientists got done with her, in part because her mother, at one point, prohibited any contact with the social scientists except for one. All kinds of problems. She suffered a tremendous amount of abuse, and both physical and emotional abuse, even after she was discovered. So really, her life has been very, very bad. And because of the way that she has been treated, she has forgotten everything that she learned during the time of her, training. So as of 2008, she was still alive. She's unable to vocalize at all. She is able to walk, but not very well. So really, this case illustrates the importance of socialization, right? We also talked about how socialization helps us to have that sense of self, right? The source of individuality, right? Also, through socialization, we learn our social roles, right? The expectations that others have of our different positions that we occupy in life. Right? We also know that through socialization, we learn our gender roles, right? Males and females, and the gender being that social construct, right? That oftentimes, but not always, is derived from the biological construct, right? The genetic, the chromosomes and hormones, etc. Okay. Also, we learned that through socialization, social reproduction happens. And what is social reproduction? Is as different agents of socialization, particularly the family. Right? The family being the primary source of our socialization. Society continues to recreate itself through generation to generation. So probably your parent, the way that your parents socialized you, right? You remember, and you probably, if you will have children, you will probably pass on those things, not 100% in the same way, right? You will adjust to, to the new things that you have learned, things that you discarded, you didn't like about your family, and new things that you learn, and you will pass that on to the next generation, and in turn, they will do that to the next generation. So in this way, socialization allows for that continuity of the structure of society, okay? For good, positive things, but also negative things, right? Think about how domestic violence, for example, impacts the life of a child, right? If a child witness domestic violence, their parents, for example, fighting and hitting each other, that child is learning, right? It's learning that perhaps that is a normal way of doing things, right? If the child sees that the parent uses, physical punishment, for example, or other types of, abuse, the child is going to think that this is the way to do things. And as he grows older, then everything that she's seeing in the family is very likely that is going to be continuing, right, in her own life, in the life of that family that she may create. Okay? socialized on the time that you're born, right? In the particular historical era, I mean, and also in the type of society and culture. Imagine for a moment, you know, the babies that are being born these days, in, you know, in the 2015. Imagine how different they will be socialized compared to the babies that were born in the 1960s or in the 1930s, right? Or even, you know, farther into history. How each, you know, historical era, right, have certain expectations and socialization ways for children, but also cultural, right? If you're born in the United States, let's say you're born in the South or in the Northwest, and if you're born in other parts of the world, if you're born in where? In Lebanon, or if you're born in Kenya, or in France, you are going to be socialized, right, different. So I think it's very important then to understand that. And, you know, based on that, I have this thing here, and you would really, you know, emphasize how, for example, well, every cycle is different. So in a childhood, if you're born today, if you're a child today, as compared to where you were a child, let's say, in the early 1900s, how are children raised today? How are children raised today? Even compared to how you were raised as a child.
No spanking.
Hmm?
Today there's no spanking.
Okay, so there's less emphasis on physical punishment, right? And I think that's definitely a change. This is not to say that, I mean, are still using physical punishment, but there is still, you know, there's a growing awareness that probably physical punishment is not the best way, right, to teach children. In fact, there is scientific evidence, right, that shows that, you know, a child that learns by, you know, being physically punished, you may have a short-term benefit, right? She's scared, she's gonna stop. But in the long term, that may not be the best way to teach children, right? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the children these days are getting taught more by like the media, and like, you know, you put them in front of a TV and little Einsteins is playing instead of
Sure.
where when I was growing up, I know my parents were like, no, go outside and play with worms or play with
Absolutely.
something.
Yeah, and you know, the television, real television, all aspects of media, right, play a very important role in the socialization. In fact, we're going to see a video momentarily on the impact of the media on women, particularly. But there's no question then that, very early on, very young children, you know, are impacted. And you know, the television networks, they know that. They know that. Children today, little children, are very powerful. They are like little kings, little queens. They have a tremendous amount of power to manipulate parents. And you know, there is a source of marketing. So if you, how many of you watch cartoons on Saturday morning?
When we were younger.
You know, if you look at cartoons today, I mean, they sell products. You know, every single thing that children see on television, particularly, you know, early on Saturday or Sundays, really is geared to sell a product, whether it's a cereal, a sugary cereal, or a toy. All these gadgets. So really, you know, in a capitalist society, the child is the ultimate consumer.
So what does Mr. Rogers sell?
Yeah, well,
Jackets.
you don't see Mr. Rogers any longer, right?
I think he died. Well, there's still